On the phone with us now, the chair of the House Democratic Caucus, John Larson. Congressman, very good to have you.
Neil, always a pleasure to be on.
What would this committee do?
Well, essentially, Neil, here's the premise. I am, agnostic in terms of whether the existing committee, with the enormous challenge that it has before it, the legislation is amended so that with the same time constraints and the same triggers, we take up the issue of economic growth and job creation. The rationale being, and you've talked about this on your program, is that lowering the national debt is inextricably linked to lowering of the unemployment rate. And so we can find a number of ways in which we can put America back to work and lower the deficit at the same time. So there's germaneness in terms of the existing committee that exists. Now, whether the committee opts to do a separate committee that would focus just exclusively on economic growth and job creation, again, I'm agnostic, or whether it would take the challenge up itself and simplify the fact, I think the important thing for the American people and for Congress is that we have these deadlines, we have this deficit problem, and we have a jobs problem. Let's combine this historic opportunity and, our self-imposed deadline so that we meet those goals that will put the country back to work.
My only problem, Congressman, I know your heart's certainly in the right place, is that, oh my gosh, not another committee. That it's a mini version of Congress.
Yeah.
And you guys are always, coming to blows over the simplest of matters, let alone something this big. So nothing would come of it. And would that be just sort of kicking the proverbial can down the road so it looks like you're doing something when you're not?
It would be if there weren't the self-imposed deadlines. And just like with the current charge with regard to the deficit, if there's inaction, if Congress fails to act, then the trigger and the cuts automatically go into effect.
But what would be the trigger to get the jobs, is what I'm saying? What would miraculously happen to get those jobs?
Well, I don't think it's a miracle, and there's no shortage of proposals that exist out there. The National Journal just published, for example, 11 ways without impacting the deficit to put America back to work, and went through detailed suggestions that both members of Congress and economists have come up with. The committee's charged with coming up by all committees of cognizance can report to them between October 11th and 14th, I believe, their ideas. Then the committee by November the 23rd comes up with their plan. Failure to enact that plan would send, under my proposal, would send the jobs proposals that have been developed by the committee directly to the floor of the House and Senate, respectively.
By when? By when?
Well, they have, under the existing law, to December 23rd.
All right. And what kind of reception have you gotten from congressional leadership, either the Democrats or Republicans?
From both sides of the aisle. And again, this is listen, there's one thing that everybody agrees with. All the leadership have said, time in and time out, look, we're all in favor of economic growth and job creation. So there's broad support. Okay. And I think what makes this different, you have valid criticism, oh my God, is this kicking this down the road? Is this just another? Here we have the self-imposed deadline and the trigger, and that's what makes it different.
Okay. We'll watch closely. Congressman, thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.